Hello, a very warm welcome back to AFC Newsday. My name's Dan George. It's Friday, the 19th of January, and we're back again on AFC Newsday to talk Arsenal ahead of their big game against Crystal Palace tomorrow. They'll be playing in the early 12:30 kickoff. So, it's great to be back after the little break. Matt will be joining me shortly. But first of all, a very good evening to everyone, wherever you're watching from. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, it's great to have you here. My name's Dan. And please feel free to stick around if you want to drop us a follow, anything like that. It'd be great to have you here. But yeah, we wanted to talk about this big game Arsenal have got coming up tomorrow. They're back in action as they look to take on Crystal Palace. It's been a rough ride for Arsenal recently. Shout out to Faisal in the chat. Great to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. Need to get myself back to the Emirates soon, but work calls. But great to have you there. Yeah, big game for Arsenal. It's been a rough run, and they'll be looking to get back on track. Let me know. Do comment down below why you think the form has been poor. What you think needs to happen for Arsenal. Please do let me know below. How do they get back on track? What needs to change? Would you change the team? Would you change other things? Let me know below. If you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, really appreciate you watching. Matt has appeared. I'm going to wait for him to give me a thumbs up before I add him in. Matt, give me a thumbs up. Wonderful. Matt, welcome to the stream. Kind of you to join us. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit of a last minute. No, not really. To be fair, lost my phone. So I was looking for my phone.
Lost your
found my
phone?
phone. Nah, it's literally in my room. Probably. I'm just being a donut.
Okay.
So yeah, bit impromptu. So I was looking for my phone, tried to set everything up, and missed the time by a minute. So not
there
too
you
bad.
go.
How are
There you
you,
go.
mate?
Yeah, mate, I'm all well, thank you. I'm all well. Shout out to Guna Jake. Great to have you there. Appreciate you tuning into the YouTube. Matt, it's good to be back. It's been a minute. A fresh minute. And, it's good to be back. How have you been, my friend? Have you been enjoying the Arsenal break, or have you missed the football?
Yeah, not too bad really. Had other focuses with uni work and stuff like that, but that's minimized as well now, which is nice. So yeah, past that focus, I've not really been watching too much football, to be fair. It is nice to an extent to be away from Arsenal for a bit of time. So not too bad. What about yourself?
Mate, I've been good. And do you know what? I was watching some AFCON today at work in the office, and the Cape Verde versus Mozambique game, that
That
was one
goal.
hell of a strike. There's a couple of really, really good goals in that game. Yeah, I've been enjoying AFCON. Salah's injury, we'll see how much of a part that has to play. If it's just a little, Egypt is still in the competition, aren't they? Because they drew. So I don't know if Salah's AFCON's over, what part of Liverpool's season he'll continue to play. But yeah, AFCON's been great. Looking forward to seeing some more of it as the days go on. Watch the darts today as well. Luke Little has been in fine
I
form,
saw the
so
9 darter. I
it's
didn't watch it, but
sensational. Mate, sensational. We're going to talk Arsenal. Arsenal, as I said a minute ago, Matt, before you joined, playing Crystal Palace tomorrow. Are you going? Have you got a ticket?
indeed, should be
Nice,
decent.
nice, mate. You always get one last minute. You're so jammy like that. But I respect it. I do respect it. But Arsenal they're looking to get back on track after this. Bit of a run. Poor run they've been going through. And just to bring you up to speed, if you're not aware, team news ahead of this game: Arsenal expecting to welcome back Gabriel Jesus, who was absent for the FA Cup defeat against Liverpool with minor knee problems. Alexander Zinchenko's missed 2 games due to a calf injury, and he's going to be assessed. Fabio Vieira might be in contention following 2 months out. So that's mainly Arsenal stuff. With Crystal Palace, Jordan Ayew is at the African Cup of Nations, and Michael Elise remains out. So they'll still have Eze, and they're more than just a one-man team. They've got some really quality players, Crystal Palace, but yeah, it's no Jordan Ayew and no Michael Elise. Cold player Michael Elise. I'm a big fan of him. But I mean, let's talk about it, Matt. Crystal Palace, we'll jump straight into it. I've asked the question, do you change the team? Gunnar Jake saying he would drop Martinelli and play either ESR or Trossard on the left. That would be interesting to see. Apparently Smith Rowe's been playing well in Dubai. They've been out in Dubai having the camp. And Matt, have you been taking in any of the content? Have you been watching the boys? Have they been doing inside training, Arsenal, have they?
Can't say I've really seen any of it, to be honest.
No, fair enough. But Crystal Palace, Matt. I mean, let's talk about it. early kickoff tomorrow. You know, say what you like about the early kickoff. You know, the great Gandhi said, never bet on the early kickoff. You never know what's going to happen. But it's a tough one against Crystal Palace. But Crystal Palace haven't been in good form themselves, Matt, have they?
They're going through a difficult time, and it's more than just like a form time. It's feeling like quite a big disconnect among the fans. And I follow a few Palace fans, and it just seems like a bit of a disconnect around the place. That Hodgson did brilliantly for them last season, but not his time is up, so to speak. But they're kind of just living off players who just shouldn't really be there anymore. I saw a video from, I forgot his name, I think it's Talk Crystal Palace. Ollie, very good content creator. He made a video about Palace's right back situation in the past
Okay.
10 years. And I thought it was very funny because they've literally cycled through the same 2 or 3 players for 10 years.
Well, who
From
they got?
when,
They got Nathaniel Klein at the moment,
and
isn't it?
Yup, and Joe Ward.
And
So
Joel
they've
Ward.
literally
Okay.
recycled through them. So they sold one of them, bought the other back, sold the other, bought the. It's unbelievable. So yeah, they kind of strike me as an outfit where they don't really seem to act like a Premier League club a lot of the time. They have some top players, but they never really wanted to build on what they have. Like they've had obviously Elise, who's brilliant, and they're good recruiters. They signed Decore, who's a good player. Unfortunately, he's out with I think a long-term injury. I'm not sure. Obviously, Anderson's a really good player. Obviously, Mark Gahey too. So they've got some really good players, as you
Tyree
mentioned. But
Mitchell.
yeah, but they've just there's been glaring holes in their team, whether it's depth or just glaring holes like that right back role, which needs to be filled. That it took them a while to really recruit a number 9, so to speak, before they signed Edouard and Mateta. So it's like they just don't seem to want to take that next leap to be a side which has been in the Premier League for a while, but they seem content enough with that. And obviously, they've done brilliantly to stay how they have in the Premier League, but it's just feeling like there's quite a big disconnect at the minute within Crystal Palace and their fans. And for Arsenal, who I think winless in 4, if you want to be
Yeah.
playing a team like that at home in front of your own fans. 2 weeks ago, we lost to Liverpool, played quite well, but that's been too much of a story in itself. So couldn't really ask for a nicer game with all due respect to Crystal Palace to face them after a bit of a patch in form.
If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitter, comment down below what Arsenal need to do to get back on track. If you think the break's been good, then I want to hear from you. We'll give you a shout out on the stream. Arsenal in this game, to throw some facts at you, Matt. I'm going to absolutely throw some at you here. Here we go. Crystal Palace have won just 5 of the 47 league meetings, including only 2 away at Highbury and 3-2 at Emirates Stadium in 2019. Palace unbeaten in their last 3 Premier League visits to Arsenal under Roy Hodgson, though. So they were under the caretaker management of Paddy McCarthy when they lost 4-1 at the Emirates last season. I was at that game. I remember they had like a 16-year-old in goal. I don't know if you remember, Matt, but like really, really young player. That was an
Yeah,
interesting game. Arsenal have won 3 consecutive Premier League encounters against Palace following a run of 1 victory in the previous 8. So those kind of stats really backing up Arsenal, but they have only taken 4 points from the last 15 available. They've only dropped 9 points from their opening 15 league games this season. And the Gunners could suffer 4 consecutive defeats in all competitions for the first time since February to March 2018 in Arsene Wenger's final season as manager. So
that's too recent, by the way. Like that should be a stat where it's like
yeah.
1972.
Oh,
Like
absolutely. Yeah. But the times did get bad. Times did get bad under Arsene Wenger. There have been some poor times at the Emirates, but it's a big one. Arsenal. I don't know. Do you take the 12:30 kickoff into consideration, Matt? Does it make you a little bit more nervous?
not particularly, to be honest. I think obviously realistically, it's just preparation's different and atmosphere might be a bit worse. But to be honest, the atmosphere hasn't really been anything to write home about this season. And preparation wise, players are fully aware that they're playing at 12:30 weeks or months before. So it's obviously I know people say don't back the early kickoff; it can throw
Yeah.
surprises, all that. But at the end of the day, we got Crystal Palace at home. It doesn't really matter what time or what anything like that. It's up to us to just play well enough to win and win convincingly.
Wonderful, wonderful, Matt. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Zinchenko and Jesus in a second, but I wanted to tease ahead that we'll be live probably for about another 35 minutes. But Matt, I'm going to put you to the test later on, and I've
Ooh,
got some blind ranking for you. Okay, I've got some famous Arsenal forwards, and I've got some famous, Arsenal managers, and I'm going to get you to blind rank them for me. Okay, so
ooh.
that's to look forward to everyone watching. So make sure you stick around for that. But Matt, I've got to ask you, Gabriel Jesus. Do you expect him to come straight back into the side?
By the way, just a disclaimer, I only
Go on.
started watching Arsenal late, so the rankings could be a bit of a
Don't worry.
shambles.
No, you will know these players. You will know all the players
No,
and
in terms
managers.
of like actually watching them or like seeing them in practice. But anyways, um,
Oh,
in
okay.
terms of in terms of in terms of Gabriel Jesus, I think he's a player who I honestly like that period last season at the start of the season was for me the most I've enjoyed watching a football player since genuinely, other than like a Messi, genuinely like no one else. Like he was such a joy to watch. That goals against Leicester when he put one in top bins, almost chipped it. It was unbelievable.
Mm,
The run against Palace, just every week he was proving that he's one of the best players in the world. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but I'm a firm believer. Like Jesus at that level is a world class and is a top level player. But unfortunately, that's a far past hypothetical at this point. I had a concern that that knee injury last season knocked the stuffing out of him and kind of has just affected his game and taken away that it factor about him. And unfortunately, I think I'm being proven right, especially with the fact injuries are just mounting more and more on him. And unfortunately, a player with high wages and stuff like that being the main man, you obviously want a lot from that. And sadly, with these injuries and stuff, it just becomes irritating. And the fact that it's even a question whether he should could come back in is probably detrimental to how much injuries have affected him. But
sure.
yes, I would definitely put him back in though for sure. I
Do
think
you?
against
There's
Palace, and yeah,
there's been a lot of talk about in national media about Arsenal messed up by not getting a forward in the summer, and it was a glaring issue, is what a lot of people are saying. But I don't know if I agree with it. I think that when he's fit, and he's got games behind him, game time, uh, experience, freshness, sharpness. I think he's more than what Arsenal need, and he can do the job that Arsenal need from a centre forward. Yeah, of course, maybe he can be more clinical, but you think maybe with more games behind him, he'd be able to get that kind of sharpness. But I also think that he's not he with the injuries that he's had, it's not necessarily like they've had the player, but he's just been so unlucky with injuries. It's maybe a little bit unfair to say that Arsenal had control of that situation, if you know what I mean.
yeah, it's tough to say because, as I say, the level he was playing at last season
Yeah,
was incredible, and even the game against Sevilla, I thought he was brilliant. I think there's a few other games he's been good. City, he had a good game, but
yeah.
just
He
generally
was on the
speaking,
right in that City game, on the right wing. Yeah.
yeah, and like, but just generally speaking, a fully fit and firing Jesus benefits everyone around him. Obviously, a
Mm,
different dynamic without Granite, um, but like just generally speaking, he benefits everyone around him. And the big part about Gabriel Jesus for me is that it factor. Is that I'm Gabriel Jesus. I could go take on a team. I could keep the ball in like any situation. I can drop deep. I can drift to the left and allow Martinelli to come inside. For me, he's that player who can do it all and can really provide you that factor, which very few players can. So when he's not got that factor about him, it makes his main qualities a bit redundant and his other areas, when he does miss a lot of chances, become even more frustrating because he's not
mm.
supplying that factor about him. Which for me, obviously, I know people got into him goal scoring wise, but we scored the most goals we've ever scored last season, 88, more than the Invincibles.
Well, I mean, let's
That's
talk about it.
like,
Let's talk about it, Matt, because Jake makes a really good point. He says that Arsenal scored 88 goals last season. Don't think many were calling for a striker at the end of the campaign. We create the chances. The team as a collective are just not putting them away. Excuse me. I'd argue that we haven't seen the same kind of chance creation as well, though, as last season. Do you think? I think there's been a bit of a lack of creativity and creative output in the final third. I don't know what you think, Matt, but I just feel like And also, the wide players have been out of form. It's been tough. But he makes a good point about just at the end of last season, no one was saying, "Oh, we need a striker," because Arsenal was scoring the goals. It was, we need the midfielder. And now Arsenal got the midfielder, and one's decided to go on holiday and be injured. But Thomas Partey coming back will be big as well. But regardless, I don't know. It's interesting. Do you think Arsenal just need to get back on track, or do you think they need some serious surgery in the team? They need to sign someone.
I think the more I think about us recently, this would have been more valid probably after Fulham or after West Ham or after Liverpool, when it's like more heat of the moment type stuff. But I do think that the answer isn't always just throwing money at the situation. There has to be a point where it's like you've spent a lot of money. I get it's rebuilding a squad, I get that. But we spent a lot of money and obviously a very small amount of forward players. I get that too. But it can't just be, oh, we're struggling, sign X player. Oh, we're struggling, spend 50 million. I don't
Mm.
think, particularly in January where opportunities are few and far between.
I don't think Arsenal can as well. Like
That
financial fair
too.
play wise, by the sounds of it, they can't. I mean, like from what we can see and we can read, Arsenal were going to make David Raya permanent in the January window. We were led to believe. We haven't heard anything about that yet, but by the sounds of it, that's just something they can just do like that when they want to do it. But I wouldn't be surprised, Matt, if Arsenal just don't sign a new one in January. They might make a little signing, or you know, just an addition for the longer term, maybe here or there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal don't sign anyone this January.
For me, I always saw it as we signed max two players, one of which is a fullback, which I think, or a defender of type, which for me was a necessity. And for two is an opportunistic signing. So someone who is maybe a youngster, like a Mascherano type of vibe, or a Hato, sorry, type of vibe, who's apparently signing your contract at Ajax. But that type of player where potentially they don't impact you short term, or they impact you short term in a Trossard type manner, but just someone who's an opportunity where the club are like, that fits into our plans, we'll sign him. But realistically speaking, were we going to spend 80 million pounds on a striker or 50, 60, 70 million pounds? No. Were we going to spend however much on a midfielder? That's why I thought Onana stuff was a bit also rather optimistic.
Yeah,
Amadou
and
Onana.
and Douglas Luiz.
Oh, that for me was like a 0.0%
Yeah,
chance. Villa
especially
are fine.
especially the form he's been in.
Oh, massively, yeah. I mean, on the topic of midfielders, we'll obviously go on to other aspects and the transfer window entirely. But what midfielder would you like to see at Arsenal?
Oh, put me on the spot here, Matt. I just want to see Thomas Partey fit again. I'll be honest. I think he just, I was watching Zinchenko's interview he did with Rio Ferdinand the other day, and the way he spoke about Thomas Partey, and like he said he's better than Rodri. He said he's a player that's just ridiculously good, and he is ridiculously good. It's just his injury record is awful. That's my one wish, but I honestly think Arsenal have got the personnel in midfield. I would like them to see a midfield, sign a midfielder in the summer, whether that be Douglas Luiz, whether that be Onana, whoever it is. But I'd like to see Thomas Partey and Declan Rice together with Martin Odegaard ahead. And even if it is that two forward eight roles, then Emil Smith Rowe is a perfect player. I mean, let's talk
Talking of
about it.
Emil, that
Yeah,
is
let's talk about Emil, because we had some positive PR coming out of Dubai, the camp, saying that he'd been really, really good in training. And there was talk today that West Ham want to sign him on loan, which nothing's happened from that now. Arsenal have kind of come out and said, look, Emil doesn't want the move. Arsenal don't want to let him go. Matt, do you think he'll get more opportunities in the second half of the season?
I do, to be honest, and I think there's two reasons for that. I think one player this could be going one of two ways. One of which where everyone saying that Arteta doesn't rate him is going to be right, and then he just gets sold in the summer, etc. But the second part, which I think is far more likely, in my opinion, that could just be optimism. Because I love Emil Smith Rowe, and I want to see him at his best firing for Arsenal again. I think he's one of my favourite players when he's fully firing. But you look at Gabriel Martinelli. People went through a phase of saying Arteta doesn't rate Martinelli. He doesn't do this with Martinelli. he had back-to-back injuries, big injuries. Well, he had a big injury and then he had a small one against Newcastle, which ruled him out for a few weeks. But you didn't really see him play for another few months. I
Mm.
think Emil Smith Rowe, if you actually put into context, every single time he's made a breakthrough into the first team, and he has, although people say he doesn't get chances in the first team, he started against who was it? I think it was Brentford early on in the season, and then he was ill, so couldn't play the West Ham game.
Yeah.
Uh, he started against Sheffield United and got injured the game after for a month. And I think it was 2 years ago or a year ago, someone brought up that he got COVID after he got his way into the team. I
Hmm.
think you can make of that what you will. Maybe that's just coincidence that he's getting a start against Sheffield United and it was just a rotation policy, etc., etc. But I think if you put two and two together and don't just go with a narrative in your head that, oh, Arteta doesn't rate Smith Rowe, all this, whatever,
Mm.
you put two and two together, I very much think there is an opportunity for him there. And that opportunity comes down to his fitness, how much he wants it, which clearly is quite a lot. He wants to stay here. He doesn't seem to want other offers. Maybe other offers aren't good enough, as I say. I don't know. Chelsea got linked obviously in the summer with him. West Ham today,
Oof.
which has already been. Oh, I remember we spoke about that one. That was
That Chelsea when he was linked with Chelsea, that was if that had happened, that would have been tough. That would have been rough. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Carry on, Matt.
that's all
Sorry.
right. I wouldn't have liked that at all. Neither would any Arsenal
No
fan. But
chance. I wouldn't have an issue with him going to West Ham on loan. By the way, I think he'd be I wouldn't have an issue with him going to West Ham on loan. I think that would be a good move as long as he comes back after. But he just needs minutes, doesn't he?
and I do agree as well. I'm not trying to defend Arteta's corner here, and he's been perfect with Smith Rowe's management, etc. Because there are games and there are times when I've thought he needs to come on or he needs to be given a chance to make an
Come on
impact.
earlier, I think, is the main frustration with me. Him,
100%.
him and Nelson, him and Nelson not coming on until like 88 minutes or something like that is just frustrating and a waste of time.
Yep, literally
Yeah.
that. But at the end of the day, if he can stay fit, I fully believe there's a future for him at Arsenal. If he's
Okay.
fit every week and plays like no minutes, and when he breaks his way into the first team, let's say he starts tomorrow, plays well, doesn't get an injury,
Hmm.
and gets that continuity, I have full faith he can, at the very least, be a very good asset for us because he's a unique profile. And with the money we spent on Kai Havertz and the other priorities we have, I can't see us spending that sort of money on a player like that again. So ultimately, if he goes and gets another injury, then it comes to a point where you could say
It's
it's
tough.
inevitable,
It's
but
tough. It's tough.
he's also been very unlucky with injuries, and it can happen. It can very much happen. And he's had, I
Mm.
think it was the growth injury, which kind of impacted him quite a bit. I can't remember what
We
it's
had some. He
exact.
had some groin issues, didn't he? He had groin issues.
It was that, but it was like growing. I feel like as well. I can't remember what it was
Yeah.
specifically, but
He's,
yeah,
he's
it's up
well.
to him
Yeah.
to be
He's got
fit.
very tall as well. To be fair, he's 6 foot plus, which is blows my mind a little bit. Matt, important. Okay, tomorrow Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Sam's teed us up nicely here. Sam, shout out to you. He says line up for tomorrow, please. Havertz, Zinchenko, Jesus, ESR. Interested to see what you lads think. Matt, we're going to do it. Okay. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace, guys. Comment down below as well what you want to see happen, what you want to see. Okay, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, comment down below the lineup you want to see Arsenal face Crystal Palace at 12:30 tomorrow. Okay, in goal, it's going to be David Raya. I don't think there's Ramsdale Raya, either, whichever you prefer. David Raya.
Yep.
Cool.
I mean, I don't. The fact he started against Liverpool was either just a random one where one of his last
Give him a
games was
run
a
out.
sub, or it's
Mm,
a indication.
yeah. Right back. If he's fit, I'm going to say Alexander Zinchenko.
Right back.
Sorry, whoa. Left back, sorry. I meant left
I
back,
was
sorry.
about to say, what type of
Forgive
galaxy?
me. Sorry,
I
forgive
forgive
me.
you. I forgive you.
Left back, Alexander Zinchenko.
See, with this team we're doing now, there's
Hmm.
two outcome possibilities, and left back basically tells you. So if you go left back Zinchenko, then one of the midfielders I have a very different name. If you
Okay,
go
go on.
left back Jakub Kivior, then one
Yeah,
of the midfielders I have a very different name. So if we say Zinchenko, then
okay.
perfect.
Okay, cool. Okay, Zinchenko.
Let's skip
Centre
past the
backs.
centre backs because
No,
too good.
let's say it. I'm going to make a TikTok, so we've got to say it, okay.
Got
Centre
ya.
back pairing, William Saliba and...
Gabriel Magalhaes.
Thank you. Gorgeous. Well said. Right
Thank you.
back. We're going to say, obviously, we're both in agreement here. Cedric Suarez.
I was actually thinking of that line. I was like,
Now, go on, Matt. You can say the right back. Who do you reckon for right back?
Real Waters. No, I've double done you in there. Obviously Ben White. Hopefully,
Ben White.
that injury he's had is not a thing of the past because he's clearly been playing with it. But hopefully, we can see the best of Ben White again. He's a top player, and he's given us a lot of great years. Even at his early stage, he's given us some great years and shown the quality of player he is. So I very much look forward to Timber, Tomiyasu, the fullback signing, etc., all being back. So he's not on his last legs every time having to play 2 a week.
Yeah, fingers crossed the Dubai trip and the break has given Ben White enough time to recover from whatever injury this is. Let's talk midfield. Declan Rice as a holding midfielder.
Absolutely.
Happy? Cool. Brilliant. And then Martin Odegaard.
No brainer. Top player.
And then...
This is where the left back changes which one it is, by the way.
Yeah. I mean... I see what you mean now. So are you saying that if it's Jakub Kiwior at left back, Smith Rowe in the left 8, or if it's Zinchenko, Kai Havertz?
Not at all.
No? Okay, go on. What are you saying?
Sorry, that sounded like, whoa. No, sorry.
No. Go on.
So if it's Kiwior at left back, he could play a more
Yeah.
standard left back role, which he looked a lot more comfortable with Jorginho against Liverpool. So
Yeah.
even if it's Crystal Palace at home, you go for that control and you go for the best balance for your side.
Okay.
So it would be Jorginho if we play Kiwior at left back.
Yeah.
And if we have Zinchenko, then he can invert and then we can play Emil. Or Havertz if you wanted to, but for me, definitely Emil.
I'd say Emil Smith Rowe as well. Emil Smith Rowe on the left 8.
Would that change if Kiwior was to start?
I don't know. I think I see what you mean. A bit more orthodox if you've got Jorginho in there. Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure there. But yeah, I'd say Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, Emil Smith Rowe.
Perfect.
Cool. Right wing, Bukayo Saka.
Absolutely.
Up front, if he's fit, Gabriel Jesus. If not, then I'd say Leandro Trossard, personally.
I'm for that. I think, for me, our 9 ordering in a game like Palace, well, I mean, any of those 3 for me, really like Eddie too, but in terms of profile-wise, if we want that link-up man, obviously Trossard is your next best bet to Jesus. Yeah. And then Kai, I'd either him on the bench or up front if he's going to play.
Yeah, I'd rather Trossard personally. If Jesus is fit, then I think Jesus starts. But I'd rather Trossard instead of Havertz, I think. Yes, I'd say so. I love Trossard. I deeply have a lot of affection for Leandro Trossard. I think he's sensational. Just not on the left. And then on the left-hand side, we're going to say Gabriel Martinelli, I believe.
100%. I mean, I really like the fact that he started against Liverpool. But I think at the end of the day...
He always loves the game against Trent, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, he should have scored early on, but he played pretty well. And at the end of the day, it's just all about not just playing your best players into form, because it's not just that, but it's about giving your best players the best circumstances to succeed. And if we play, whether that's Rice on the left-hand side with Martinelli, or whether it's Jorginho on the left, Smith Rowe on the left-hand side with Martinelli, or Odegaard, if he wanted to do that, probably not. He has someone who can stay far left. He can come inside, or he could stay far left, and then at least you have someone like Emil who can come further inside. So either way, just the best balance and what gives him the license to excel.
So what we go for, just to recap, we go for David Raya in goal, Ben White right back, William Saliba, Gabriel, and then Alexander Zinchenko at left back. We'd go for a midfield holder of Declan Rice. Left 8 is Emil Smith Rowe. Right 8 is Martin Odegaard. Right wing is Bukayo Saka. Up front is Gabriel Jesus if he's fit. And left wing is Gabriel Martinelli. And of course, Zinchenko is if he's fit as well, because Jake makes the point of Zinchenko still out. But according to the BBC Sport website, he's going to be assessed before the game. So we'll wait and see what happens with Zinchenko. Jake's given his lineup as well. He's gone for Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Kiwior, Rice, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Jesus, Saka. So the same as us, just Kiwior instead of Zinchenko. And then Sam's gone for Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Odegaard, Jorginho, Rice, Saka, Jesus,
Jorginho
Martinelli.
with Zinchenko is very interesting, actually.
So a bit more orthodox in midfield, like a 4-2-3-1 kind of thing.
Well, so
Um,
Zinchenko's not what's the word, inverter.
well, I'd assume that's when you're, yeah. Well, I'm not sure. It's been a long day, Matt, but it's great to see. It's great to have you here, mate. It's great to have you here. Let's talk about a
Absolutely.
few other things. Keep commenting down below your lineups you'd have for the game. We've spoken about January signings. We probably don't expect Arsenal to do much business. Hopefully, the reset's been good for the club.
Also, thought I'd just add, not just we don't expect,
Go on.
I'm in a boat where I don't really want us to, aside from a fullback, because it almost reminds me of a few years ago where we were trying to sign a number 9 and we didn't get top 4. And
Mm,
obviously, I know it's a title game, although I'm a lot more pessimistic about that. You can't just sign someone for the sake of signing someone. Even if we were to sign Ivan Toney for a lot of money, I, for one, would want him to be playing his football first before doing something like that. For 2, it's not going to
mm,
happen. And for 3, you just don't want to sign players for the sake of a short term gain. And then you have problems offloading, or you have problems they're not good enough. And then they take up squad space, because
yeah.
we've seen it all too often with Arsenal and football in general. So I'm
I
very
mean,
much of the.
let's talk about Tony because I didn't have it on my list, but let's talk about it. But if you, is it not a red flag, right, Matt? And I'm going to talk to you in relationship terms here because I know you're a lover, and I'm waffling, but you get what I mean.
What are
But
you?
basically, if you're looking to get in a relationship and you talk to someone, a male or a female, and you say to them, or you put out the feeler, say, I'm interested, and they're with someone already, but they start saying, waxing lyrical about you, say, I'd love to be with you. Is that not a red flag? Is it not a red flag that Ivan Toney's at Brentford and he's saying, I want to move to a bigger club?
Yeah, but you're basically insinuating at that point. Well, no disrespect to Brentford, to be fair, but you're basically
Yeah,
saying who they're currently with isn't that good, and then that next person is like 10 steps ahead.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, comment down below. Is it not? Because I find it interesting. I just find it a bit weird because I know he's 28 years old and not necessarily. If he gets a big move to Arsenal, it's a question of does he have another big move after that? After like 3 years, something like that. I don't know, but it's just a bit of an interesting. His PR has been a bit interesting, Matt, hasn't it?
Just want to say, where else do you get relationship analogies relating to Arsenal?
Yeah,
That's all I'm
AFC
saying.
Newsday right here. So follow and subscribe for it. There you go. But no, it's just weird, isn't it? And disrespectful to Brentford, I find.
it's it's one of those where I completely understand people finding it disrespectful, and particularly if I mean, I wouldn't even want to say if it's my player, because if someone's disrespecting Arsenal like that, then get in the bin. But
Get in the bin.
no disrespect to no disrespect to Brentford at all. But everyone can kind of read the room and know that he wants a bigger club. But at the same time, you don't need to say it at all times. But there's it's one of those where you can't back up his actions, but you can't slam his actions either.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not ideal, particularly after how Brentford have been with him and everything like that. There is a very interesting interview, to be fair, from today at 5 p.m. I had a read of it. It's pretty interesting. Um, but you can't slam him for
What
obviously
was it?
wanting
What
to
what
upgrade.
what was? Go on, Matt. Plug it. Where was it and what was it?
I think it was the Daily Mail, I want to say. Um, oh, you told me to plug it. I wasn't gonna.
Didn't
So,
know it was on the Daily Mail. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Um,
whoa, rolling out any sponsors? No, I'm joking.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah, Daily Mail sponsor us. It's going to happen.
They're brilliant.
Um, Tony gives desperate, but football career is short. I mean, yeah, no, I get what it means. It's an interesting one. I mean, Jake says as well, in his opinion, it's more about the timing. He's at an age this might be his last big move. Get a chance of playing European football. Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
how I
But
see it, right?
mm,
Like you think about any player in the world, or you think about any person in the world who you think is at a job or at a club or at a business which you don't think is suited for them.
yeah,
In like that, they're basically a lower business when they can do so much better, or they're a lower wage or whatever, could do so much better.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
pretty much reading the room that obviously Tony knows. Everyone knows Tony wants a bigger club. But does that work employer need to say all the time? they want a bigger club or want a bigger business? Probably not. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's I don't want to say it's desperation. It's just his way of communicating it to the public
Maybe.
without.
I just wouldn't.
Yeah,
I think it comes across as disrespectful to Brentford, who have
yeah.
pumped up his big return, and maybe we're looking into it too much. Maybe it was just a small out of context comment, but I
No,
don't I
it's
don't
not out
know.
of context, to be fair,
No, I
because
don't think it
you
is
said it a
either.
lot. You had
Yeah,
the podcast with Diary of a CEO, which is brilliant.
yeah,
You
that
had
was interesting.
you had the 5 p.m. interview, as I just said. You had the
Yeah,
Sky Sports clip, which emerged the other day. So it's pretty obvious what
and
what his
and
intention is. But
his track record's not the best as well with him, on that holiday saying F Brentford and, after again, maybe we're reading into it too much, but it's interesting. Ivan Toney, will he come to Arsenal? You can't really say January, maybe the summer. Depends, there's a long way to go, but we'll wait and see with that one. Matt, it's time. It's time. Now it's time. We're going to play a game of blind ranking, okay? Don't get too excited. Play along in the comments too.
this is going to
But
go
blind
wrong.
ranking, it's not going to go wrong. Blind ranking is a concept where you have 5 spaces here, and I'm going to name a player, and Matt has to put them on this ranking table without knowing who is going to be next. So you could have a few howlers here, Matt. The
You
world is
could do me
watching.
in if you want to, very
The world
easily.
is watching. The world is watching. Okay. So blind ranking, and we're going to start off with Arsenal strikers. Okay.
Okay.
So 1 to 5, and I've got 5 strikers here, and you're going to blind rank them. Okay.
I just
First
want
of
to
all,
say as well, little disclaimer. I will
excuses,
say,
excuses.
I will say about any player if I've not watched them very much, so you could take
Matt,
my
no, no,
answer
no,
with a pinch of salt. That's all
no.
I'm saying.
Okay, 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 okay.
I'm not trying to get some 30
Number
second
one,
TikTok clip where it's like, oh, he's done that.
number one. Ian, right.
Love him. This is the problem with blind ranking. You could
Ian,
name
right.
all of Arsenal's best players, and I
Mm-hmm.
put right at 2, and it's fine. Or you could name me 3 absolute duds and one
I
who's
could,
very good.
I could,
And
I could.
I think I think I think 2 is a safe spot for right. Everything is done for Arsenal. Like now, the media side of things, what he did for Arsenal as a player, just
Matt, I'm not
everything
asking you to
he.
declare your love for Ian. Wright. I'm asking you to put him on the table.
I,
Come on,
I,
let's talk. Let's
what
get
like
talking. Come on.
literally or physically? Because
No,
not
come on, Matt. Come on. Where are you putting in the table? Number 2.
love Ian Wright number 2. Well, I've just
Number
put
2.
5 2.
Keep it short and sweet. Keep it short and sweet, my friend. Okay. Ian Wright, number 2. Robin van Persie.
How
Do you know,
sentimental.
I should probably write these down. One sec. Here we go. Just
Why
so
do
we
you
can stay
want
on
me
top
to
of
just bang out answers when you're giving me Robin van Persie? That's outrageous.
it. Well, Jake's put him in number 5. Jake's put him in number
I was
5.
gonna say he can go number 5. Thankfully, I wasn't even that into football when he did join United. So there's that. But 5 because no one could be worse, can they? Unless you got Adebayor or something on the list, in which case we might have a problem.
Righty number 2. Robin van Persie. Where's he going?
Are we talking about saltiness in terms of all that, or just as an out and out footballer here?
Matt, I'm just asking you to rank them.
Because I'm obviously going to say 5 otherwise.
You're
But
going to say
if we're
number
talking
5.
about as a
Just
footballer,
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
want
no.
it to sound like.
Just your feelings towards this person as a player.
Oh, okay.
Following their Arsenal career.
Didn't really follow his Arsenal career, so 5.
5. Robin van Persie. Number 5. Okay. Okay. Next one. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Ooh, I think 3 is an obvious answer here for him. I love what he did for the club. Wasn't a fan of his latter days and how it all came out was quite sad and going Chelsea and all that stuff. But did a lot of brilliant stuff for the club while it was in a bit of a difficult period.
So
And won
number
us
3.
a last trophy. So, well,
Number
yeah,
3.
3.
3. Okay. In there, Jake's put him in number 4.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Next one. Thierry Henry.
Okay, well, number 4 is gonna hopefully not be someone that good because obviously he's going number 1. I
Thierry
unfortunately
Henry.
didn't watch him, but I don't really need much explaining, do I?
Thierry Henry, number 1. Okay, so at the moment, as the table stands,
It's not too
Jake's
bad.
got number 1 as well. As the table stands, you've got Thierry Henry, number 1. You've got Ian Wright, number 2. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, number 3.
Oh, I
And
should have put
Robin Van...
Aubameyang 4.
Whoa, whoa,
Ooh.
whoa, 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 whoa. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang number 3, and Robin van Persie number 5. So your number 4 spot is what's left, okay?
Oh, I just
And the,
know I should have put
and the
Aubameyang.
final person on this list,
You're gonna say Bergkamp or something.
Yaya Sanogo.
All right, that's a solid list. That is a very solid list.
Yaya Sanogo.
I mean, to be fair, I think it kind of picks itself, but I think I've done a solid job there.
Right, so I mean, I don't know. Yeah, here you go. You can see it here. So you've gone for Thierry Henry, Ian Wright, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Yaya Sanogo, and Robin van Persie. How do you feel with your list, Matt? Talk to me. How do you feel? Jake's gone with number 3 for that. Matt, tell me, how do you feel with your list? Are you proud of yourself?
Have that, Van Persie. Have that. Yeah, I'm very happy with that list. Sanogo, that hat trick against Benfica was pretty fantastic, and I think he deserves to be above Van Persie for that reason. So.
Above Robin van Persie, number 5, crazy. Below Yaya Sanogo, mental. Okay, next one. We're going for Arsenal managers. Okay.
Ooh.
Arsenal managers, and after this we'll have a little bit of Crystal Palace talk just to round it up, and then we will say good night for your Friday. Hope you have a good Friday, whatever you're up to. Please subscribe or follow whilst you're here. We do appreciate you. We're going to be doing more regular live streams as the season continues.
More game shows as well, because they are fun.
More game shows, yes. We'll get people on as well. If you want to be on, then just DM me and we'll get you on for a game show, 100%. Right. Excuse me. We're playing blind ranking, by the way, if you just tuned in. And Matt's gone for his first one of Arsenal strikers as Thierry Henry, Ian Wright, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Yaya Sanogo, and Robin van Persie.
I nearly put Aubameyang for. Well, I didn't actually, but that guy, Jake in the comments did put him 4, so Sanogo goes above
Sanogo goes 3. That's crazy. Right, managers, Matt. Okay. This is a bit more generic because you can kind of. There's not been many Arsenal managers in the last 10 years. So, the ones that you will know, I'm sure, it's only a certain crop of managers. So, I'm going to ask you to blind rank these ones, please. Okay. Ready?
Got ya.
Arsene Wenger.
For what? I mean, I'm sure like George Graham will get brought up in this list, but I didn't ever witness him, so I couldn't tell you. And he probably I'll put him number 1 because what Arsene Wenger just did for football in general. I'm sure George Graham's in this list, but just in case he isn't. And either way, love Arsene, love what he did for football. Very unlucky not to win the Champions League. Obviously, latter years were pretty toxic, but what he did for the club and what he did in general for football was fantastic. And he's a real legend and just someone you look up to. So,
Arsene Wenger. Next one, Unai Emery.
I mean, I don't know how many not good managers we've had, so to speak, but we've had long reigning managers, more to the point, or managers have been slight duds. So I think 3 or 4 is a safe spot.
Well, you got to pick one.
Brilliant. Cheers for that.
No worries.
He's definitely not taking number 2. I mean, as Arsenal times, I don't remember very nicely. I've got to be honest. That Watford game wasn't pleasant. In general,
Jake's put him number 5, just gone straight in there, number 5.
I think 5 is harsh. At the same time, no, 4 or 5 to be fair. I'll go 4. I'll go 4. I'll go 4, but I can't think of who else could pop up. Actually, I should show 5, shouldn't I?
Whoa! Yeah, I've written it in. It's locked in now.
It's not locked in, is it? You could just cross
it's locked
it out.
In. Well, no, it's a pen. I can't rub it out. It's locked in. Okay, it's locked in. Arsene Wenger number 1 and Unai Emery number 4. Next one, George Graham.
I knew this one was coming because there's not that many managers at the end of the day. I can't comment on George Graham, and I'm sure he's first with a lot of people. Well, I mean, I don't really know how you could debate either because they're such incredible managers, but for me personally, I can't really tell you anything other than the fact he's going to go number 2.
George Graham.
He did fantastic things for the club and incredible.
Generation before us, so realistically.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. I'm going to say Freddie Ljungberg.
I had a feeling you'd throw someone like that out there, but I feel like you'll throw someone even more out there. So I think you've got a little smile on your face. So you've got someone who managed like one game. You're going to get a doctor or something. Oh, I know. I've read your mind, right? I've read your mind here.
No, you're waffling. You're waffling, fella.
Albert Steinberg is going to be the last one. I've read your
You're
mind
mate.
here.
The amount of waffle coming out of your mouth right now is crazy. I know. Where are you putting Freddie, please, mate?
3 or 5?
Well, yeah, 3 or 5. Yeah, one of the two.
In terms of, he wasn't at Arsenal for very long, was he? Obviously, that West Ham game was good fun, but Emery should probably be 5 and Ljungberg 4 for sentimental. But problem? Is that a problem?
No,
Is that a problem?
no, that's disrespectful to Unai. With Emery,
No, I said
I
for
know,
sentimental. I didn't say like that. I mean, just like bias because I love Freddie, not because of like
yeah, but with Emery, you
managerial
can think
stuff.
yeah, but with Emery, you've got to think of the 4-2 North London derby. That was kind of bad, to be fair.
That is a fantastic trophy one as well. You know
Yeah,
what else you got to think about? Baku, Watford game,
yeah.
that Frankfurt game, which obviously ended. Anyways, I don't want to turn it toxic or
The
anything like
Brighton game, which had
that.
the biggest, craziest domino effect that any football game's ever seen. Emi Martinez winning the World Cup from Brighton and
Crazy.
Neil Maupay. I'm gonna
I
have to
think
push him out. Where's Freddie Ljungberg going? 3 or 5?
I think I have to put him 5 for how little he was at Arsenal in terms of a managerial side of things, and it's just so
Okay,
number
okay,
3
okay.
is
And final one, Herbert Chapman,
okay. I mean,
and it's
I
going
think
at number 3.
I mean the top 3 are going to be the top 3 in any order. I genuinely couldn't really tell you because I didn't watch either of the two managers to comment, other than me knowing Arsene Wenger what he did for football and
Mm,
him being sensational. Obviously, I
yeah,
know latter stages and all that, and yeah, this I'm pretty happy with that.
no,
I
that's
think
fair
that is
enough.
the right order for the 4-5,
I mean, let's go
and
through it.
then
Here we go. I'll hold it up here. This is the beauty of live streaming and not having a graphic prepared. So you've gone for Arsene Wenger number 1, George Graham number 2. Focus. Herbert Chapman number
brilliant.
3. Oh, we'll get there, guys. We'll get there. Herbert
There
Chapman
we
number
go.
3. Unai Emery number 4, and Freddie Ljungberg number 5. You happy with that, Matt?
I am pretty happy with that. As I say, the 1, 2, and 3, I could not tell you because I'd be giving an unfair perspective. Other than Wenger,
Hmm.
I can tell you. So there's that. But yeah, pretty happy.
There you go. Wonderful stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we just played Blind Ranking. If you want to watch it back, please do watch it on YouTube at AFC Newsday. Please subscribe to us. Please drop us a follow. We really appreciate any support. Shout out to Jake, who's been playing along. He said he's not going to forgive Unai Emery for Baku. I don't think a lot of people will forgive him for Baku. But I just wanted to point out the fact that Matt decided to put Yaya Sanogo above Robin Van Persie in our striker one we've just done.
Is that a
So
problem?
I mean, based on ability, yes, but I mean, crazy. Matt, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for your time, mate. We're going to finish
Always.
with some score predictions. Score predictions, please. There's some brilliant people watching. If you are watching, you've watched all the way through. If you're with us now, then just thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Shout out to you. You're a legend. And I want to know score predictions, please. So please comment on the Twitter video, comment on the X video, I should say. That sounds weird. Or comment on YouTube, please, and let us know what you think the score prediction is going to be. Jake's not a fan of Van Persie. And score prediction: Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Here we go. I'll tee it up for you. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's going to be at Emirates Stadium. Arsenal return to Premier League action on Saturday tomorrow when Palace cross to the Thames for an early kickoff as Arsenal enter aim their 4-game wait for a win. Arsenal Crystal Palace. Matt, score prediction, please.
I should be edgy. No, 3-0 Arsenal. I mean, it's one of those built up where it's like, oh, Palace haven't done all this, Doctor Arsenal coming into play, all that. But just logically, it should just be comfortable, shouldn't it? Really, Palace are in a bit of disarray, and yeah. What about you?
Wait, so sorry, what score have you gone? 3-0.
3-0, 3-0. Although we probably won't keep a clean sheet because that's how Arsenal do things. But 3-0.
No, fair enough. I'm going to go for 3-1. I think I think 3-1. I fancy Arsenal to get back to winning ways. Crystal Palace not inform themselves. Excuse me, and I think the break's done Arsenal good. So, please do comment still what your score predictions are. If you're watching, please follow us, subscribe us. We appreciate everyone. Jake's gone with 4-1 because Arsenal always concede at home. I mean, that's another point. Arsenal haven't been the best defensively at home. Jesus, Saka, Gabby, that could be well, you said Jesus, so that could be two other Gabby, so that big Gabby or Martinelli. But he's also said Martin Odegaard to score, Palace get a VAR penalty for handball. It's predictable. It could happen.
I'd say more a deflection from like
Deflection.
Jeffrey Schlupp or something like that. But
Who knows? Who knows?
at
Who
least we
knows?
don't have to play Jordan Ayew this time. That is a big
Yeah.
plus. I'm not even
Jake
joking.
Jake reckons big Gabby. Jake reckons big Gabby. Fair
Ooh,
play. Fair
okay.
play. Shout out to everyone that tuned in tonight. Really appreciate you being there. It's been great to be back. Matt, we will be back next week with another video to preview our next game, Arsenal's next game. I'm not sure what it is at the time of recording. I haven't looked. But we will be back next week for Arsenal's next game. Matt, I'm going to leave the final word to you. Before that, though, I'm going to say please subscribe, please follow us. We appreciate everyone. Matt, final word, go.
One individual word.
Just final word, group of words.
It's a pleasure to be back, and hopefully the Arsenal can get the 3 points, or comfortably as well.
See you later.